All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're tackling a classic IELTS Writing Task 2 topic, zoos. You know, this is one of those subjects that really gets you thinking, but what's really important for the exam is that you can build a strong, balanced argument. We're going to break down a top-scoring essay to give you the exact vocabulary and ideas you need to ace this question. So, let's get started.
Welcome to this special lesson from the IELTS Focus. We are all about helping you nail the IELTS exam. And today, we're doing just that by deconstructing a Band 9 model answer on zoos. We are literally going to pull it apart to find all the high-level vocabulary, those powerful phrases, and the logical arguments that will help you write your own incredible essay.
So first up, let's look at the arguments for zoos. A really high-scoring essay is always balanced, so you've got to understand how to build a compelling advantages paragraph. Let's see exactly how this model essay does it.
Here it is, the topic sentence. And it is a perfect example of how to start a paragraph with real clarity and impact. See how simple and direct that is? It immediately tells the examiner exactly what's coming next. So, let's see how the essay builds on this really strong opening.
Okay, so the essay backs up its main point with a bunch of specific, well-chosen reasons. It doesn't just say, zoos are safe. No, it gives concrete examples of the threats animals face in the wild. Things like habitat loss from cities expanding, new roads cutting through their land, and of course, the constant danger of poachers. And adding conservation programs in there, that is a brilliant, high-level touch that just takes the whole argument up a notch.
Let's really lock in this key term, urban development. It's a very precise, academic way to talk about cities and towns getting bigger, and it directly connects human activity to the problem of habitat loss. So, for example, when a new neighborhood gets built right at the edge of a forest, that's urban development, and it can be totally devastating for the local wildlife.
Here's another word you absolutely need: poachers. Notice the model essay doesn't just say hunters, it uses the more specific and, frankly, more emotionally charged term poachers to really highlight that their actions are illegal and cruel. This kind of precise language is exactly what will impress an examiner.
And this term is absolutely critical for this topic, endangered species. By focusing on protecting endangered species, the essay shows a really sophisticated understanding of conservation. It's not just about protecting any animal, it's about prioritizing the ones that are right on the brink of disappearing forever, like the giant panda or the black rhino.
Now check this out. This is the sentence that wraps up the entire paragraph. That phrase, crucial lifeline, is just so powerful. It's a fantastic piece of vocabulary because it summarizes all those benefits: the food, the shelter, the protection, and wraps them up in one memorable, high-impact image. This is exactly the kind of language that makes examiners take notice.
Okay, so we've looked at the arguments for zoos. Now it's time to flip the coin and look at the other side. Remember, a top-scoring essay needs to be balanced, so you have to be able to argue the counterpoint just as well. Let's break down the disadvantages.
And notice the range of arguments here. The essay doesn't just hammer one idea. It explores all sorts of disadvantages, from the physical environment to the psychological well-being of the animals. It talks about how you can't really copy a natural habitat, the sad reality of smaller, poorer zoos, and the really awful impact of boredom and stress on these captive animals.
This is such a brilliant phrase, replicate the natural habitat. It perfectly captures the huge challenge that zoos have. The model essay uses this to make a really smart point. Even the best, most well-funded zoos struggle to create an environment that truly feels like an animal's natural home. I mean, think about it. How can a zoo possibly replicate the massive, icy world of the Arctic for a polar bear? It's almost impossible.
And this really shows the emotional depth of the argument. This isn't just about facts, it's about empathy. The phrase, "must surely feel this loss," shows a higher level of thinking, right? It's considering the animal's own experience. That's a really nuanced and persuasive touch.
So the crucial point here is that there's a visible consequence to being in captivity. This isn't just an idea, the essay points to a tangible outcome. You can actually see signs of boredom and stress. This is excellent vocabulary to describe the negative effects, and it connects the poor environment to specific sad behaviors, like pacing back and forth or repetitive movements.
So we've looked at both sides of the argument, and now it's time to put it all together. In this section, we're going to gather all the most valuable language from that model essay into a toolkit that you can use to really upgrade your own writing. This is where you'll find the words and phrases that will get you that top score.
And here it is, side by side. You've got the language of protection and survival on one side and the language of confinement and suffering on the other. Just look at the power of these phrases: crucial lifeline versus bear cage, conservation programs versus signs of boredom and stress. When you master this vocabulary, you'll be able to build a balanced, high-scoring argument that's going to really impress that examiner.
Let's break this down even further, okay? Because knowing whether a word is a noun or an adjective is the first step to using it right in your own sentences. For instance, you can talk about endangered species or captive animals. You can use key phrases like urban development as the subject of your sentence. You know what? Why not just pause for a second and try using some of these words in your own sentences? It's a great way to practice and make it all stick.
So we've deconstructed the arguments and the language of a Band 9 essay on zoos. We've explored the pros and the cons, and we've pulled out the key vocabulary and phrases that are going to help you craft your own top-scoring essay. Now, to wrap up this whole explainer, let's end with the same thought-provoking idea that the model essay leaves us with.
And this is the final crucial question. The model essay finishes by narrowing its focus. It suggests that, yeah, while zoos might be a crucial lifeline for endangered species, the whole equation changes for healthy, thriving species. For them, are the boredom, the stress, and the confinement really worth it? That's a really powerful thought to leave with the examiner and a great question for you to think about as you form your own opinion.